Hello and welcome to the Anita Francis podcast show. We have an amazing guest in the studio today, originally from the UK, but now living in sunny Portugal. Now, Claire Wheatley is the founder of Moving Currency, a specialist foreign exchange company that helps individuals buying property overseas transfer funds securely and cost effectively. With over 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, Claire combines deep expertise with a highly personal approach, guiding clients through the currency side of international property transactions with clarity and care. Claire is very passionate about simplifying the process, saving people money, and offering a reassuring human touch during what can often be a very stressful and emotional time. Welcome, Claire Weekly, to the show. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Anita. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction.
I'm so happy to have you, Claire. I've been waiting for this moment. I really have. I love anything to do with currency, the international market, real estate, anything at all to do with currency. I absolutely love. So I'm really, really excited to have you on our show today. Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you so much, Anita. I'm really excited to be here. It's great to chat to you. And I love how everything's going with your podcast and your business. It's really exciting.
Thank you so much. It's hard. I'm that go-to guy, it's difficult juggling all those balls, being a wife, being a mother, being an entrepreneur. It's not easy, all the traveling, but I love it. I love helping people and that's what I do this for helping people. So yeah, it's amazing. Just like yourself.
Yeah, it's so nice to be part of that journey for someone, isn't it? And you kind of get caught up in the excitement with them, don't you, when they're buying overseas?
It is a huge transaction. Relocating itself is a big thing anyway. And on top of that, buying a property is one of the biggest things that you do in life. So, but if you're doing it overseas, and you can help and take away the headache. Oh, wow. It's good. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay, Claire. So just a couple of questions. So really want to find out a little bit more about what you do and how you can help people out there. So can you tell us about the moving currency and how it helps clients who are purchasing property overseas?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a currency specialist and we help clients transfer their funds internationally, often for property purchases. But we're there for the rest of the journey as well. So mortgage payments, bills, furniture purchases, cars, everything else, any transfers internationally we can help with.
Oh, wow. So you do a lot more then. It's like a sort of all-round sort of service. Anything you can sort of move.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we work with individuals that are mainly buying properties, whether it's a holiday home, investment property, or even a relocation. And we just aim to make the process really simple, stress-free. We offer excellent exchange rates, a personal service. We're there to hold the client's hand throughout it because, like you say, it can be a stressful time and overwhelming. So we just want to make sure that this area of the purchase overseas is not.
Yeah. And that's me. I'm a sort of person that I need my hand held all the time. I'm that person. And I know, Claire, it's not just me. I know there are other people out there that are feeling exactly the same. And that's where you jump in and obviously you can help take the stress away.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we aim to do, and just take care of people where they're doing these transfers and while they're buying their property.
Fantastic. Okay. So just leading me on to another question. So what are some of the sort of common mistakes people make when transferring large sums of money internationally and how can they avoid them?
I suppose the big one is like you would imagine when you're going to transfer funds, you just walk into your bank and do it. And what people don't realize is the bank's exchange rates are often very poor. There's large international transfer fees as well. So all of that really adds up to the cost of the property. Whereas by using ourselves, you're going to get a much better exchange rate and no transfer fees or charges. We can also monitor the rate for you. So if the rate moves in a client's favour, we'll just give them a quick call and say, look, the exchange rate has moved in your favour. Compared to last week, you're saving this amount of money. So it's a really good time to transfer your funds. And obviously, they're not going to get that kind of service from their bank. It's a very much a specialist service. What we can also do, another big mistake is perhaps just transferring the funds when the time the funds are due. So you put down a deposit initially, and then you're going to have to transfer some funds not long after that to sign the promissory contract, or the next stage payment perhaps. So what people think is they just transfer the funds at that point. But what they can actually do is when they put down the deposit, they can lock in the exchange rate. And that way they are securing the price of the property at that point. And the property price is not going to fluctuate with exchange rate. It's locked in. They know exactly what the price of the property is. And that's another option for them that takes away any uncertainty around exchange rates while they're waiting for their completion on the property.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that, because when I'm transferring money from I use the app, the Revolut or something app. I use that app, okay. And when I'm transferring money over from the UK to Portugal, and say I'm transferring over right now, and for whatever reason, I don't know, I pick up a call, and it's just still sitting there. When I look back, it's changed. The figures have changed, like not dramatically, but it has made a difference. So it's like, I didn't know by sort of transferring large amounts of money, you can lock that in there and then. I didn't know that. That's something new that I've just found out there.
Yeah, it's really good because, even when you're spending a lot of money, like on a property purchase, even a 1% change in the exchange rate can make a big difference to the amount of money that you're spending. So
Yeah.
it's just something that's worth bearing in mind.
Okay. No, that's really good. That's really good to know. Really good to know. Okay. So sort of leading me on to my next question then, you sort of touched on the banks because, yeah, everybody knows the banks. Okay. They've been around for a very long time. Good banks, my opinion, yeah, have you got good banks? Have you got bad banks? I don't know, banks are using obviously other people's money. They actually haven't got any money, but that's for another conversation, another day. But what are the key benefits of working with a specialist like yourself, a currency provider, over using the traditional bank? Because straight away, I know you sort of touched on it a little bit just before, but straight away people will go to the bank. That would be their first point to go to. Oh, yeah, let's go to the bank. So what are the key benefits of working with someone like yourself over using a traditional bank?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's saving money is a big one. No transfer fees, no terrible exchange rates. So that's a good one. We all like to save a bit of money, don't we? And also the personal service, like when you go to the bank or when you call the bank, definitely when you call the bank, you're probably never going to speak to the same person twice. And if you've got a problem or you don't quite understand something, you could be speaking to someone on the phone that also doesn't quite understand the problem or the information that you need. So if you are calling moving currency, you're always going to speak to me, and I'm always going to be there to help you understand what you're doing, understand the bank details that you need to get the funds to wherever you need it to go. And it's just having someone on the end of the phone to reassure you, because it's usually large amounts of money that you're transferring, and it's nice to have that reassurance when you need it.
Yeah, and this is it. And that's what I sort of said earlier. For me, I wouldn't even bother go to the bank because I haven't got that individual, that personal touch. And I'm in real estate simply to help people. And when they come to me, they come to me because it is that one-to-one. I'm guiding them from A to Z. I am holding their hand every step of the way. Yes, we have third parties like obviously lawyers, mortgage advisors, etc. But it all comes back to the introduction, which was myself and the client, and just holding their hand from A to Z, making sure that they're okay, is it gives me so much joy. So I believe you won't get that service from the bank. Like you said, you'll be talking to probably Sandra one week and Bob the next. And is that what you're sort of trying to say, is that it's that personal touch, it's that one-to-one, why it's better to go to use a specialist like yourself rather than the bank?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely the same as you. Like, although you're connecting people with different people, I'm sure your clients know that they can always send you a quick message or give you a quick call if they're not sure of something. And exactly the same for me. I'm available as often as they need me, and I'll always be here to reassure them.
That's amazing. Honestly, Claire, that's amazing. We need more Claires. That's what we do. We need more Claires. Right. Okay, doke. Okay, which leads me on to my next question. So, how does moving currency help make the overseas property buying process feel less overwhelming for clients? Because again, we sort of touched on it earlier, but sort of breaking it down, you've got a client now. And for example, I'm going to give you a real honest example. I had a call 2 days ago from a lady from the US who is wanting to buy a property in the Portugal market, and she's got just over £1 million to move from the USA to Portugal. So, and obviously she's quite overwhelmed. So if you could talk me through, how would you sort of approach this client? What would you do, the steps? So at least people know if they're watching this podcast and, oh gosh, I've got 10 million, to move over. What do I do? I don't want to lose anything. If you could sort of talk me through that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I'd usually have a conversation with the client and find out a bit more about them, what their plans are, and then we can tailor everything to suit that client. The first step to using moving currency is to set up an account. So they'd simply go to our website, www.movingcurrency.com, and set up an account on there, which is very simple, just some personal information, name, address, date of birth, the usual stuff.
Yeah.
And then once the account is set up, for US clients, we actually bank with Citibank in the US. So for a US client, they're never ever going to have to worry about an international transfer, because all they're going to be doing is transferring funds to Citibank from their own account. So just a domestic transfer, and then we take care of the international side. So there's no need to worry about strange account numbers, IBAN numbers, there's anything like that. They're going to get an account number and a routing code, and they're going to be very familiar with that information. And usually, yeah, and usually as an extra security, I'll email all the information to them, but then I'll go over it all over the phone with them as well to make sure that they understand the information that they've received and that it's all correct. And for someone that's transferring a large amount, like your client, we would always monitor the rate for them and let them know when it's a good time to transfer their funds. And it might be that they need to send a deposit immediately, but they're not ready to send the balance. So by sending a smaller amount initially, that gets them really familiar with the process, so they know exactly how it works, ready for when they're transferring a larger amount.
Wow. Yeah. So initially it starts off with a brief. So a chat, find out a little bit about them, what's their intentions, things like that. Yeah. So that could be over a Zoom or just a phone call, or because obviously we're dealing with the international market, so it's different time zones and things like that. So you would be, it's a Zoom, you'd have a initial brief first of all. Is that how it sort of works first of all? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. I do like to meet on Zoom if we can, because it's nice to see someone face to face, isn't it? And
I agree.
yeah,
I agree. I agree. I agree.
I also
Totally agree.
I also know that everyone's not familiar with Zoom or Google Meet, so we can chat over the phone, and that's not a problem either.
Of course, of course. And you've also got WhatsApp as well. So yeah, it's totally free. So that's amazing. Okay, okay. And so you sort of touched on as well. So after you have the initial brief, they just need to sign onto the website. They need to create an account, you mentioned.
Yeah, that's it. So I'd usually follow up with an email, just going over what we've chatted about on the phone, and send a link to set up an account as well. And that like you say, can be done on the website. Very basic, simple information, name, address, contact information, date of birth, that kind of thing.
Okay, okay. So just thinking about it myself, oh my gosh, I'm moving £1 million over to just the thought of it, honestly, Claire. Like I'm literally shaking now, just the thought of it, honestly. And like I said, just to know that I can pick up the phone or an email and I can contact yourself anytime, that just alone gives me peace of mind. It really does. So yeah, that's amazing what you do. So fantastic. Okay, so very straightforward process, nothing overwhelming, and yeah.
No. And we're always happy for clients to just transfer a smaller amount initially if they just want to figure out how it works, check that they're doing everything correctly. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. This may be, I don't know if it's a silly question, Claire. I'm just trying to think of all different sort of questions, but I know you touched on security, but you've got so much clever people out there that can sort of, tap into your emails and passwords and things like that. I mean, is there any sort of reassurance around that? If, a client like myself would be, what if somebody chips in and gets this and gets that? Is there anything around that you can sort of explain?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I always follow up with a phone call just to reconfirm the bank details so that you know that they are all genuine and correct. Obviously, we have all of our security systems in place, but it's just an extra security measure that we always do. And then once you've got those bank details, you know that they're correct. And if anything, you received an email saying these bank details have changed, then you should always, no matter what the circumstances or who they're from, you should always follow that up with a phone call and just check what the information that you're receiving is genuine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, you may have touched on it earlier because I'm getting so excited with our chat, and I just want to make sure that I've covered every area because when it comes to me transferring money, I know exactly where I'm going to be coming. So I just want to make sure I've covered everything. So the security side is absolutely fine. How long is the process then? So if I said, okay, Claire, I found a beautiful property in Dubai or Portugal, Spain, Bali, and I was okay, I'm going to go for it now. I want to sort of, move across from the UK about 500,000. Okay. How long is that going to take? If you could kind of explain the time scale.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's very quick, 24 hours at the most, I would say. Yeah, so if someone was transferring funds from the US to me today, we should have that in Portugal by tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, I didn't realize it's that quick.
Yeah, pretty quick.
So
And same,
if it's more, sorry.
same for most countries. For people transferring funds from the UK, we use Barclays, so they just do a transfer to our Barclays account, and then same again. That can even be in Portugal same day sometimes.
Wow, wow. So can I also ask, is there any country that you can't transfer from one to one? Do you know what I mean? Is there certain countries that you can't touch?
Yeah, there is a few countries, and they're generally sanctioned countries, places that we rarely get inquiries for anyway, to be honest. But yeah, there are some sanctions, and there are countries that we can't deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, you would let them when you get an inquiry, they say they're from here, then you'd let them know that unfortunately, due to the sanctions, we're not able to facilitate this move in a kind way.
Yes.
It's not your fault. It's not your
No.
fault, Claire. You don't make the rule. You know the law. So yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is. So okay, that's great. All right. So Claire, sort of final question. So, are there any upcoming trends or tips you'd recommend for people thinking of about buying property abroad in 2025? Because we do get a lot of inquiries from literally around the world in regards to wanting to purchase a property abroad. So is there any sort of any tips you could sort of recommend, especially
Mhm.
2025?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of seeing lots of growing interest in Portugal, Spain, Dubai. They all seem to be absolutely booming at the moment. And I suppose one thing I would say was don't leave your currency strategy until the last minute. Rates are still quite volatile, so locking in the rate early can make a huge difference to your budget, and it's definitely worth something to consider.
Yeah, okay. So now's a good time, basically. So anybody listening, if you are thinking of purchasing a property anywhere in the world, really, but especially in Portugal, I mean, I'm a bit biased because I love Portugal, because I'm originally from the UK, but I love Portugal, and obviously Claire is living now in Portugal, so you are a little bit biased, but Portugal's amazing. It is amazing. But and for anywhere in the world, now is a good time. Is that what you're saying, Claire? Now is a good time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I know all of this can feel overwhelming, but with the right help from Anita and her team and myself, then it's one less thing to worry about in the buying process, and we'll make sure that it's not overwhelming at all.
Wow. Okay. Claire, honestly, it's absolutely been a pleasure. I wanted to get you on our show for a very, very long time, but Claire's a very busy lady. Okay. But honestly, Claire, thank you so much for taking the time out to have a chat with me and our audience, explaining how you can help move currency from one market to another um, easily. Okay. Thank you so much, Claire. It was lovely having you on our show.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, Anita. It was really lovely to chat to you, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire. Take care.
You too. Thank you.